Sugar, da, 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 da. Ooh, honey, honey.
There you go. Hope you liked your serenade. Today we're talking about honey jars.
Welcome to Waxing Moon Witches with Lynn and Stephanie, and yep, we're talking about honey jars. So I use honey jars all the time. I love me a good honey jar. Now, it's so funny though, because we were talking earlier, we use honey jars in completely different ways.
Yep.
Typical. So I use honey jars in the sense of what I want to bring to me. If I'm in a relationship and I want to sweeten that relationship or make it stronger, if I have a crush on someone or I'm enamored with someone and I want to bring them closer to me, I'll create a honey jar. I've also done honey jars for bringing prosperity to myself as well. So that's the way I look at honey jars. I know it's a slower magic because honey is slow. Now you use them in a completely different way.
I do. I would use a honey jar to sweeten someone. So say someone's running their mouth a little bit and you want them to talk a little more nicely about you. A honey jar will sweeten that tongue right up.
So, diving right in.
Yes.
Does size matter? Ooh. Okay, now, in the world of honey jars, size does not matter.
Does not.
You're not going to get a quicker or better spell with this size jar versus this size jar.
Not to mention the cost of filling this thing with honey.
Well, this actually had honey in it at one point, and it was like $50 worth.
Right, but do you really want to waste $50 worth of honey on one honey jar spell?
No. No. Okay, so, and this is a great opportunity to remind you that recycle, upcycle, these are all jars from various condiments. Like this was a Veganese jar. I mean, save your jars because they do come in handy.
Yeah.
I have a jar. I am enamored with someone or I have a crush on someone. Yeah, when do I know?
Tell.
Oh, yeah. But, so I'm going to create a honey jar. What do? I take my jar. If I was in a relationship with someone and I had some of their personal concerns, which is like a lock of their hair, a fingernail, something from them, piece of their jewelry or thread from their clothing, you get what I'm talking about. I would put that in the jar. If I didn't have a personal concern, I could put their photo in the jar. If it was someone I was in a relationship with and I had a photo of thee and me, I would put that in the jar.
Thee and me?
Hey,
I've getting all Penny Dreadful on us.
Exactly, and you can tell what I've been watching. You know, so I put that in the jar. I would then find a variety of...
You could also, sorry to interrupt, but you could also just use their name, right? Like say you don't have a picture of this.
Write their name out.
Yeah.
And again, if it's something like say you have a crush on, Ethan Chandler.
Who doesn't?
Exactly. Ethan Chandler and Stephanie Lee in a beautiful, positive relationship, that is what you could put in there. And then from that point, I would probably add some rose. Like these are just dried roses from my pantry, because who doesn't have dried roses in their pantry? I would take some cinnamon sticks to spice it up. And
add a little passion, a little
fire.
A little
fire, exactly. Then if I was going to help for money, I would take either a physical check or print out an image of a check, fill it out to myself in the dollar amount that I so desire, and put that in the jar.
You could also put just like $1 in there too, couldn't you? Like actual money?
Yeah, I've done that. I've actually put actual money in a jar, and that works just fine. I do a lot of crystal work, so some garnet beads in there or garnet crystals for love. Big quartz crystal for love.
Good all-around stone. Amplifies everything.
Money, I have pyrite. These are pyrite beads. I'd put a couple of these in there. Rose quartz for self-love. And again, you get the point. You build up the jar. Rosemary for remembrance. I'm sorry, I love that song. You all know what I'm talking about.
Welcome to the musical episode of Waxing Moon Witches.
And then you would take your honey.
Oh, also, before we forget, olive leaf is another really interesting herb you can use as well. Say you're having issues with a person, you're literally giving them the olive branch. So just put a couple of leaves in there. It'll help as well.
Yep. You then take your honey, and while you're pouring it in, you can recite, please let my relationship with Ethan Chandler blossom and become sweet. Please bring prosperity to Stephanie. You know what I mean. Fill the jar. Seal the jar. And then, now if it was for love, like romantic love, you could burn a red candle. If it was for prosperity, you could burn a green candle on top. You could also do a pink candle. You would heat up the bottom, drip wax on top so that the candle is stationary.
Mm-hmm. I always put it on like a paper plate or something too, just in case some wax.
Exactly. Again, the great thing about metal lid jars, you know, fireproof.
Mm-hmm.
And then just let that wax drizzle all down the jar.
Mm-hmm.
If it's a honey jar for love, I would do this probably on a Friday because that's Venus Day, Aphrodite's Day, the day of love. If it was to bring money to me, I would do that on Thursday because that's, you know, the day for money and
Thor's Day.
Thor's Day.
Well, I do want to bring Thor to me.
Well, yeah.
I don't know that my husband would appreciate it.
Probably not.
I would.
But, you know, green candle on Thursdays, you know, burn those to help bring money and prosperity to you. If you could do a honey jar to bring a job to you, I would then do a blue candle, burn that on top. Again, I would do that on a Thursday as well. Honey jars to me are slow magic, so don't expect things quickly. But again, you know, pour your good intentions into that, and that's your basic honey jar.
Yep. Another thing, if you also want to correlate it with the moon.
Friday during a waxing or a full moon.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So that's your basic honey jar. Now, if you have any questions or comments, please do them below. Also, subscribe to our channel to learn more about honey jars. And for now, that's all.
Yeah. Lynn and Stephanie signing off.
Take care.
Bye-bye. To end her with a song. Just call me Grace.
Yep, this was a Goya jar.
Little caper jars would be perfect for this type of thing.
Or the McCormick spice jars. Spice jars are awesome.
Relish.
We know you love that term.
Personal concerns. That's how it's said from here on out.